to this episode of the Pilates Bridge Live Show. Today we're talking about creating Black Friday offers for your boutique fitness studio or Pilates studio, where Black Friday is right around the corner. But I know a lot of studios, they worry that creating these types of offers is going to cheapen their studio or attract the wrong kinds of clients. And many of the Pilates studio owners, they fall into the discount trap, offering deals that fill classes but can hurt them in the long run. So today I'm talking with Sarah Glanfeld, and she will share with us exactly how you should structure your Black Friday offer so they not only create this stable income, bringing the right clients, but also make sure that these are the clients who will stay with you and that will not hurt your studio long term. Sarah is a marketing strategist, a business coach. She works exclusively with boutique fitness studio owners. She is the founder of Sprint 3. She is the host of the fabulous Pilates Business podcast. So if you haven't listened to her podcast, make sure to subscribe. She shares lots of great insights over there. And she also runs a boutique fitness accelerator program called Thrive. And I was the guest over there, guest speaker a couple of times. Actually, we just talked yesterday. But I'm going to let Sarah talk a little bit. Just introduce yourself briefly. I know I've had you on the show before, but for anyone just tuning in and who hasn't met you yet, just tell a few words about yourself, Sarah.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back. So I'm Sarah Glanfield. I'm the founder of Spring 3 Studio Business Consulting. And I have been consulting and coaching specifically for boutique fitness studios for over a decade. So 2012 was when I shifted my focus from teaching Pilates to working alongside Pilates studio owners and teachers and helping them build their businesses, helping them market their studios more effectively, and really streamline their operations. And the reason why I kind of fell into that is because before I became a Pilates instructor in New York City, I was working in finance and marketing. So I kind of blended the two worlds together. And since then, I have, like I said, worked really closely with hundreds and hundreds of studio owners, many of them, in fact, because I know so many people in the Pilates world, a lot of them are in the Pilates world. And I've been so fortunate to be able to work with folks who've seen their businesses evolve and grow from the beginning to all the way through to sale, from expansion to adding new programs, new locations. And it's such an exciting time in this industry, and there is so much opportunity right now. So I'm always keen to be able to chat more about what's happening in the industry right now, and specifically how we can help support all studio owners to help them to build and grow their businesses.
Awesome. So let's talk about Black Friday, right? Like we're talking right now, right before Halloween. So there's a little bit of time still left to prepare. But the question is there even place for Black Friday offers in the boutique fitness world? Are they even worth it?
Yeah. So this is a great question, because I think that sometimes we kind of fall into one of two kind of camps. On the one camp is we absolutely have to have a Black Friday promotion. Everyone else is doing a Black Friday promotion. I need to have a Black Friday promotion. Or we fall in the camp of I don't do any promotions and I do perhaps no marketing or very little marketing. And so I'm not even going to participate at all. And in my opinion, the reality is for most people, there is an opportunity for boutique fitness studios to use this season in their business to drive visibility, to drive revenue, but only when it's done strategically and with sort of a savviness to it, will it be ultimately successful and helpful for your business overall. And so whether you're someone who is opting out or fully opting in, either is great, but we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way. So if you are thinking about it, then I would always recommend that we come at it from a place of knowing what the purpose is from the beginning. What do we want to get out of this promotion? What's the point of it? And I think that if very, very early on helps you to decide whether this is something you want to participate in or not.
Yeah, and I think something from what I see, like from marketing overall, we know that this fourth quarter is really the best sales time, like the best time for sales all across. Obviously, retail, awesome, but not just that, it's just people are in the mindset of buying. They are in the right mind. So if you want to participate that and just attract the clients who are ready to purchase, this is the time. Like, why not? But do it correctly. You can, I believe some of the stats that I've seen is that this fourth quarter, some of the revenues go anywhere from 25 to 40%, depending on industry. So this could be a huge boost for your studio, if you structure it right.
Absolutely. We're all primed, I think, especially in certain parts of the world, to be shopping at this time of year.
Mhm.
I think from sort of this day forward is when we start to really think about, what are we thinking about Black Friday? What are we looking out for in the Black Friday? If you're thinking about if you're thinking about the holiday season, what that looks like for you, then you're thinking about what your lists are going to look like, and so on. And then you're probably thinking about what you want to allocate money to, what you perhaps want to save and wait and see if. So there's a lot of opportunity here. Clients are primed to buy, and I think that if you're able to use that sort of seasonal momentum to perhaps add a little cash flow, right, without hurting your profit margin, then it's a great thing to do. It's a great opportunity for your business.
So what are some of the mistakes that you see a lot of the studio owners make with their Black Friday strategy?
Right. So I think that it's very easy to fall into the trap of um, discounting, just taking something that you already sell and then just discounting it deeply. In fact, too deeply, such that it is not a profitable product for you to offer, actually. And I always encourage the studio owners that I work with inside of Thrive, my business coaching program, to be really mindful of whether or not what the intention is behind their discount, and to have a purpose, right? So if you're just taking something just to discount it, just to sell it for Black Friday, I think we can be a little bit smarter than that. I think that we can be a bit more savvy with our promotion for Black Friday than simply taking our 10 pack or our membership and slashing it in half and saying, hey, I'm going to sell it for 50% off this month, and then finding out next month that we are not making, that you're not paying yourself, right? So instead of discounting too much, which I I think can devalue your brand and can encourage your clients to perhaps wait for that massive sale, and wait for perhaps the next massive sale. Instead of that, make the offer, a promotion, something that is unique, something that is different but from perhaps you might be offering at other times of the year, and make it instead even a value add or something that is going to help your business in terms of adding perhaps new leads into your world, new clients coming into your world, or using it in a way to perhaps add value or create demand for other things in your business. So I think it's an opportunity to really support your business when we do it in a way that's really smart. But I think one of the biggest mistakes is to slash something you're already selling and then potentially sort of devalue that offer in your business.
And I think I'll add a little bit from my perspective as I'm working with the studio owners is that one of the mistakes that studio owners make, they wait until last minute. They
Right.
don't create a strategy. And it's like I get emails the week before Black Friday. Oh, can you put it up on my website? I just decided to run a Black Friday deal or whatever. And it's like it's already too late. Like they don't have the right sequences, the right priming messaging configured, whatever it is that the offer that they're trying to promote, there's not enough time to plan it correctly, to market it correctly, and then eventually it ends up flopping because they just think, oh, if I send out one newsletter saying whatever percent off on my either packages, memberships, or my intro, people are gonna flood my
Yeah.
studio. No,
Yeah.
there's a lot more. And I know I work with several of the members from your Thrive community, and I know you guys just had a talk actually about Black Friday, right, in your
Hmm.
community.
Yep.
so that your members have pretty much like a month to prepare for that, right? So
Right.
this is a good timeline. And some studios, they even go as far as planning 2 or 3 months in advance, which is what a lot of the big corporations they do. They plan these types of things like 6 months in advance, but at least a month is
Hmm.
something for you to think about. So if you're
Yeah.
listening right now, you're live with us, this is like the perfect time for you to discuss and think about what you're going to do. So
Yeah.
my next, yeah, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was
I'll
just going
ask
to
you
give
the
a bit
next
of a
one.
timeline, perhaps, just to
Mhm.
give
Yeah.
some guidance. So, sort of this, I would say that by the end of October, you want to have decided what the promotion is going to look like. So, whether that is one promotion or two promotions, I would always keep it simple and straightforward. And then you have decided what that is, and so then you're going to start to set it up inside of your systems internally, which can take a little bit of time. Maybe it's you doing it, maybe it's your studio manager doing it, in which case you want to just make sure you've allocated time for that. So you've set it up in your system, you know what you're selling, you've set it up in your system, and then you're going to create some marketing assets. So that means that you're going to create some emails, maybe you're going to add a page to your website, maybe you're going to add some social media, maybe you're going to put up some posters in the studio, maybe you're going to send some flyers out, whatever that looks like. That all takes a little bit of time, which
Mhm.
is what you're going to be doing, this kind of next 10 days or so. So then when it comes to being in that Black Friday, you are not last minute creating that email. It's all ready to go. Because what we're seeing, one of the trends that we are seeing, and I don't know what you're seeing right now, Anastasia, but I'm already getting Black Friday emails the
Oh
next
yeah.
October 30th, right? And so we
Yeah.
see every year it creeps earlier and earlier and earlier. And we know that there is so much noise in the week of Thanksgiving itself, in on that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or even in that whole week, that we are competing it with a lot of other things. And so I said to my studio owners when we spoke about it inside of Thrive, don't wait till that week to start talking or sharing your offer. If you want people to buy it, you need to start promoting it a little bit earlier than the actual Black Friday itself,
Mhm.
at least teasing it to your membership base, at least teasing it to your community. If you're not selling it, that's fine. Or open up the cart, let people buy it, because we are just seeing so much more noise, and it is, like I said, creeping earlier and earlier. And we are unfortunately competing for attention, and we don't always have the same massive big budgets that some of these huge, shopping stores have, right? These Targets and all of this have. So we can't compete with that in terms of ad spend or digital campaigns. So we have to be savvy and smart. And so I'd recommend you start early, you plan well ahead, you make sure you have all of your assets ready to go, and you're really thoughtful about how you're letting your community know that you're what it is that you want people to buy that you're selling.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great advice, Darren. So when you're creating the Black Friday offers, what are your thoughts? Should you create the offers for the existing members or only for the new members when you're trying to bring in the new leads?
Well, this is sort of like a bit of a multi-step process, and I think this is always where when we think about, okay, let's be smart with our promotion and strategic. This is the first question: is what is the goal? What is it that we want this promotion to achieve for our business? And every studio will be slightly different because they may need different things in their business. I've got many studios right now that are full with wait lists for every single class. So for them to think about trying to do a promotion to bring new clients in, they have nowhere to put those new clients. So it's not that might not be the best option, right? So we want to figure out what our goal is for our promotion first of all. So new clients, or maybe it's something you want to do to reward your loyal members, or maybe you want to simply boost cash flow, or maybe you want to increase retention, in which case the offer will vary depending on the goal. So maybe if you want new clients, you're doing something more that is an intro offer type bundle. If you're looking for that loyalty or retention of clients, you might be offering sort of a full year in advance, or an upgrade to their existing kind of packages, into a more higher commitment package. Or if you're looking for simply a upfront quick cash flow, then that's the painful packages, that you want to sell, probably with a slight discount that gets you that cash today, but that they will then draw down on over a period of time. So it does depend on the goal. And I think that where a lot of people get messed up is that they're not sure what their goal is. And so they take a bunch of different things and discount a bunch of different things. And it kind of creates a lot of noise. And maybe it does create a little bit of cash flow, but it's not as strategic or it's not as optimized as it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had some conversations with some of my clients lately as well. So we were talking about like if there's obviously if a studio has a wait list, maybe the Black Friday is not the right thing for you, right? But you can still maybe run something. Maybe you have some old merchandise that you want to move, things like that. Just think about things if you want to reward your members, things that maybe are not doing so well, or maybe the classes that you want to fill, or the services, or maybe you've added a new service at your studio of any sort of wellness or anything like that. Think about that being your offer instead of discounting something that's already selling well and your clients are already committed to. So just think about outside of your primary services and go to where your goal is, whether it is to push something new, promote something new, or to fill certain classes, fill a new teacher's schedule. Let's say all of those are, in my opinion, are great ways to use the Black Friday and really tap into it.
Absolutely.
So when you're creating, let's talk about like some numbers, because everybody wants a number, right? So if we are talking, let's say, and we're going to break it down, a studio that needs new clients, right? Their goal is just to generate, they're still growing, maybe newer studio. So this would be a more like a new client Black Friday offer. What types of discounts are we talking about, or what should we look at to figure out how to set that discount?
Yeah. So when we think about new clients, there is an element of having an offer that is probably different to your existing introductory offer, right? And it's an offer that might be very compelling to a new client because it is an offer that is slightly different to perhaps your existing intro offer, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you should take your intro offer and discount it even further. Typically, that means that you are certainly losing money on that offer. And we want to be careful with that because depending on your current profit margins, we don't want to suck that profit out of your business. So we want to make sure that you have offers that have strategy to them. So for new clients, and you're doing something that is, you have your intro offer already, which is discounted usually. Okay. So then it's about what else would be beneficial to your business and that new clients will be very interested in. So that's where you could do a discounted, say a 5-pack or a 10-pack, if that's different to your introductory offer. And this is for new clients only. And it's over only a very short space of time. And it's sort of designed as sort of a kickstart to your experience in the studio. Okay. And doing something like that has, again, going back to what I've already said, and I hate repeating myself, but you do want to make sure you're not taking something you're already doing and discounting it more. So we want to be creative with our marketing efforts. For new clients, what that means though is that sure, like throw a new client special offer for Black Friday only out there into the world, put it on your website, but the real sort of juice is going to come from that is only going to come if you also market that beyond the four walls of your studio. And I find that often we use promotions like Black Friday to get new clients in. We're just promoting them to our existing community that's seen or either active or have been to the studio before. And so this means that you have to go beyond your existing community to get your offer in front of a new audience of people who may not have already seen your intro offer and not purchased it, but actually people who are beyond that. So with new clients, it's not just about the offer, it's also about getting in front of the audience that is going to then buy it, right? And that visibility part is critical to that offer being successful as well. So it's not just about the promotion and the discount, it's about actually getting it out in front of people. So for new clients, that's where you'd sit. Yeah.
The visibility. And do you have like any tips on how to get that extra visibility for the client, for the studio owners?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot more levers at our fingertips when it comes to um, get it to promoting our studios than we feel. And often we are relying on, our sort of go-to digital marketing platforms. But I would always say that if you are a brick and mortar business, you are going to get a lot of, you'll find that there is a lot of influence or influential people in your community, and there is a lot of potential and opportunity for collaborations with other businesses and via your network. And I would encourage you to leverage all of that whenever you're running any event or promotion, because that will always give you, actually, I often find better returns than necessarily digital ad spend, especially this time of year. So I would not, unless you have a very significant advertising budget, I probably would not recommend that you try to compete with the big dollar spends that are out there over Black Friday. You might not find it's fruitful.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It's the cost of advertising this time of the year goes out of the roof. So unless you have that budget, it's almost, in some cases, I advise my clients, just if they are advertising, to cut back somewhat on there, because they're just not getting, they're spending more and getting less. It's much better
Correct.
to use those the local connections, the referrals, things like that, your personal networks to promote that, than just go all in on advertising. So one of the questions, like this came in from one of the members, sis, she's asking, she said, I'm fed up with getting people sign up for a session or two, but with no realistic intention to continue, which just kind of goes into that new client. So if, you know, if a person purchased that Black Friday offer and it's an intro, um, a new client to the studio, how do you ensure that they stick around and not just drop after they've used their whatever 3, 5, 6 discounted sessions?
Yeah, great question. Okay. So this is common, right? Where we see clients come and then they just ghost, And I think I just did our training earlier this month was on this exact topic of sort of how to make that intro offer a mega success for your business and maximize the conversion into long-term membership. And I think there are sort of three elements that combine to make it um, a success. Number one is the price point has to be a stepping stone into the next sell, which means that if it's too much of a discount, then you will attract people who have never had any intention of continuing, because the difference in price between your discount and your introductory offer and what they would need to spend on a regular price session is too different. It's too discounted. And we see this a lot when we have super discounts, and we see people are like, they'll say, I have so many new leads coming in, I got no many new clients, it's amazing. But the conversion is exceptionally low. It's always because their introductory offer is priced amazingly well. It's a fantastic deal, but if I'm not going to go from spending $15 a class to spending $35 a class, because it's just too much of a jump. And so we have to be careful with how deeply we're discounting, first of all. So that price point has to be kind of that sweet spot of enticing them in, but then also, realistic for them to move into that next package. And there's a lot that goes into that pricing, but it's not just about the price, right? Because there's so much more to a buying decision, especially when you're buying into a studio, into a community, into a movement. It's not just about price, it's about how you make people feel as well. And that's where the other two elements really come into play. And the first element is your marketing messaging. So, what you're telling people before they come in about your studio. So, you're attracting the right people in who are buying into the way that you do things where you are in your studio, right? They believe in the same, they believe sort of the same, have the same set of values. They're looking for the same thing. So if you are a Pilates studio, you don't want to probably be attracting people in who are looking for CrossFit. They're not going to stick around because it's just not the same. It's just not what they're looking for. So we want to make sure our marketing messaging is is dialed in, not just in terms of communicating that you're a Pilates studio, not a CrossFit studio, obviously. It goes a lot deeper than that, but that you are sharing with them a lot about the way that you think about Pilates, because even within the Pilates world, we know there's a lot of different types of Pilates. And so it's that communicating that as effectively as possible is absolutely critical. So you've got price has to be at that sweet spot. Your marketing messaging has to be on point. And the third component that I think is often the most overlooked, but also the most critical, is that client experience. And so when they come in, right, there has to be a standard and a quality of that interaction that you have designed. So a new client should be treated actually quite differently from one of your regular clients, because they don't know the way things work in your studio. They have a lot of ideas about things that they have seen before, heard before, perhaps experienced in other studios, that they're going to bring into that session with them, right? And so it's up to you as the teacher and the studio owner to guide that session forward so that they have a very specific experience. Okay, so you've got your price, you've got your marketing messaging, right? You've got the experience. Now, the fourth one is the bonus. And this is, again, where I think that we have always got more room for improvement, no matter what you're already doing or not doing. And that is in the follow-ups and the nurture of the way that you interact with the clients after they've come to the studio, but in between their sessions, right? And if you have any software at all that facilitates any sort of automations, I would highly encourage you or strongly encourage you to make use of those automations to nurture and to encourage your clients to continue to come back and to let them know sort of what they should expect, and to really take control of how they see your business, their perception that they have. Because once you have all of those four really dialed in, you'll find that you have that it's a very seamless process of getting people in the door. They show up, they're ready to commit, and they're excited to commit. They found themselves in the right place. You're guiding them forward, you're showing them your expertise, your credibility, and then they move very seamlessly into that next cell.
And I know just actually this year, right? Like earlier this year, we had a talk. I had you on our show, and we talked specifically about the intro offer. So I'll make sure to link that in the description once we're done. So if you guys are interested in how to set up these offers, what goes into it, what to offer as your introductory offer, you can listen to that talk and just get a lot of gems from that conversation, just to make sure that you are structured correctly, Black Friday or not. So now let's talk about your existing customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or existing, whether they're members or on a membership plan, or they're just packages or anything like that. What types of offers could we set up for them for Black Friday?
Yeah, great question. So typically with our existing clients, we kind of have two goals somewhat tied. Ultimately is we want them to keep coming back and keep spending in our business. And that means that we want to design promotions that that drive retention and that boost the average spend or the lifetime value of the client. So there's two different kind of avenues you can go down depending on which one you want. And again, I think you just have to get really clear on your goal, and then from there design the offer. So for example, if retention is your goal, right, and that also could mean increasing lifetime value, you might want to offer a promotion that encourages them to go from maybe a month-to-month membership to put them into perhaps a 12-month membership, or a pay in full upfront for the next 12-month offer. So these are the kind of things where you're saying, okay, you're going from month to month. The retention perhaps might not be 100% like definitely there. You might not, they're deciding every month whether they want to continue on. They might slip away in a few months, and you're saying, okay, instead of that happening, let's offer a 12-month or a 6-month commitment offer, and in exchange for a discount. And so there you're increasing that retention. They're going to keep coming for the next 6 months or 12 months. And depending on the price point, you may or may not be increasing the lifetime value. That depends on a few other things. So that's one option, right? If that's your goal. The other thing you can do for your existing clients is to bundle things together so that they have you're adding more value. So that might mean that when you maybe you offer a class package, right? Maybe there's your 10 pack, but this time your 10 pack also includes a merch add-on, right? So when you buy this 10 pack, you get a piece of merch, or you are adding on even perhaps a free private session if you're trying to perhaps sell more private sessions. Okay. So you can do things where you're adding more value and perhaps even shifting the buying behavior of your clients, or opening their eyes up to some new or different things in your studio. So for some people, that might mean, um, depending on what you offer, it might be adding on perhaps an equipment class to a mat class package or something of that nature. So this is an opportunity to really think about what you want for your business and how you can use this time, this season, to support your business growth. And I think that when you're thinking about how you can promote to your current clients, like that's really where you can get really creative, and it can be really, really fun. Now, for a lot of people, they see this as an opportunity to just show their clients sort of, it's almost like a client appreciation um, offer as well, which is fair enough. And that's has its place for sure. And so this, maybe it's a buy 12 classes for the price of 10, right? So you sell a 10 pack and it's an extra 2 classes for free. And this is an opportunity for your clients to grab those extra couple of classes for free. And it's sort of like, you can think of it as that sort of client appreciation. Thank you. Buy this now. We're not offering anything like this ever again, or at least not until this time next year, right? And I know a lot of studios do the same kind of promotions, year after year. And some studios will find that their clients kind of wait and excited for that. There's extra 2 classes they're going to get for free, right, for Black Friday. And that's a good thing, because it means that they're sticking around and there's buzz there in the studio. The downside of that is that if you're discounting too much, too often, which I wouldn't recommend, your clients will be waiting for that discount. So if you discount 50% in Black Friday, and you discount 50% in January, and discount 50%, for Valentine's, and you discount 50%, then you find Mother's Day, right? You're going to find that your clients don't ever pay full price, and that can lead you to a tough position from a profit perspective. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use Black Friday to really drive business growth. Actually, it should be seen as a business builder. And if you're savvy and smart with the offer, it really truly can work that way.
So I have a question for you about the pay in full types of packages, right? Like let's say pay in full for 12 months. Do you think that it can interfere with the cash flow, kind of create that feast to famine type of feeling for the studio owner, because there was a lot of cash coming in, but then there's nothing? How do you plan and use those pay in full packages wisely?
Yeah, so this is about budget, right? And it's about knowing that if you take that cash flow up front, you have to allocate a budget, for the rest of that 12 months towards your studio. You should know what your budget looks like, how much your expenses are, and so you're not going to take all that cash and give yourself a massive bonus at the end of November, and go on vacation, right? You have to be mindful about how you're spending that cash. And I think, yes, having a consistent revenue is helpful. But there's, like, it depends on the goal. There's a time and a place for, saying that I would rather make sure I've got that cash up front versus having the risk of that client falling off, 3 months later. So it really depends on how what you feel is most appropriate. But yes, the end of the day, you have to be a sensible, savvy, financially savvy business owner always, which means that we certainly want to make sure we're thoughtful about and considering what the impact will be then down the road on our expenses versus our income, and perhaps allocate cash flow to a specific bucket so that we aren't finding ourselves short, a couple of months from now.
Yeah, that goes obviously along the lines that we always need to be keeping track of the finances and the budget, right? Like looking at all those numbers, making sure that monthly, if not weekly, probably more like on a weekly schedule, you're always keeping track, okay, what's coming in, what's coming out, if you have payroll, all of those types of things, and what has to happen every month financially for your studio. So you can't just put it away, put it aside, and I'll think about it whenever it's time to do taxes, right? Like you want to keep yourself accountable for that as a business owner. So I had one of the questions that came in from Bianca. Her question is like, how many different offers should you sell for Black Friday, and what percentage discount and validity?
Yeah. So, you know, is a lot of different, I mean, there's a lot of answers to that question.
Let's do
So,
like how many? Like let's break it down, because some of them were already answered, really.
yeah, if I'm talking, I'm gonna give it maybe perhaps do a quick scenario here. So if you're a studio owner and you are also a teacher and you're also doing your marketing, like so many of the folks that I speak to are, right? You're wearing a lot of hats. And perhaps you are thinking about doing a Black Friday sale. In order for that sale to be successful, typically we see that you can't allocate yourself to creating many, many, many promotions. It's too much. That means that you'd need to have emails for each promotion, marketing assets for each promotion. There's a lot that you're creating. But even more importantly, typically when we have too many different options available or many options available, we tend to confuse our clients. They tend to not know which one is the best one, which one's the best one from them. And when there's any confusion about price, or even when there's too much choice, it can lead to confusion and people don't buy quickly. And on Black Friday, we really want them to make a decision quickly and buy quickly, because, and only because, there is a serious amount of noise from all of the other people out there who also want them to buy. And so the simpler and more straightforward we can make the offer will both serve you as the business owner in terms of your sanity, but also in terms of how quick and easy it is for your clients to buy. So keep it simple, one or two max, okay? And make it super straightforward to understand, when it's going on sale, when it's ending, what it entails, super clear, and it'll be a much easier for you and a much bigger success for your studio.
So the second part of it was about the percentage discount. And I know we talked about it. I think it's not so much about discounting what's already discounted, but rather creating a different package so that you're not losing money on this transaction, correct?
Yeah, I think it's really, going back to what we said just about numbers, we have to know our margins. You have to know your margins. And so when you look at, if you know your profit, if you're discounting something 50%, then that's gonna eat into some of your margins. And maybe that's okay if that gets you a client out of it that is going to stay, and your client stay for a long time, then maybe it's a net positive for the business. But we have to be really careful with the depth of the discount, because it can attract people into the business who are not going to be our ideal clients and are not going to stick around. And you're still going to pay your teacher for that class, even though people are only just going to perhaps be paying you $5 a class for that class, which is not going to be pretty at the end of the day. So we want to make sure we're really smart with our discounts. And so for that, we want to be mindful about, okay, again, what's the purpose? What do I want out of this? If you're just doing a discount for the sake of discounting, I would always say think twice, because it may not bring you the result that you actually want. So there has to be the goal behind it. You have to be really clear about what that goal is, and then build the offer around your goal, and then make sure you have all of the pieces tied together that are going to help you to reach your goal. So if you're doing an introductory offer, a special offer for new clients for Black Friday, then you want to make sure you've got, your other kind of pieces of the puzzle that are going to make sure that that introductory offer is going to work in terms of converting those people into long-term clients. So if you don't have those pieces yet, I would start there, and maybe we skip Black Friday this year and we kind of do it next year. But you want those otherwise you're not going to have the benefit ultimately of that offer.
Yeah. And then I guess the last part of this is the validity, or I guess like the expiration, right?
Expirations. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So what, and again, in this case, I think we're going to be talking specifically about those like intro offers, because if somebody's purchasing, prepaying for a year of membership or something like that, that's kind of more obvious. But with those introductory offers, what are some of the expiration, or what should we consider when setting those expiration dates?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we have to really remember is that we have to be careful with the expirations because in certain places there is a lot of regulatory implications about expiring packages. So you just to know what those are, those look like for your state or where you live, and how that all works. So be mindful of that. All right. And you should know all of the legalities and regulations for all of the requirements for where you live. So just full disclosure there and disclaimer. Please always check that. Okay. And I think when it comes to expirations, my general perspective is that, um, we ultimately are in a relationship business, right? And so if we're in a relationship business, it means that number one, we need to have our clients' trust. Number two is we're going to see them every week, ideally. So we want to make sure that we are leading with our best impressions, right? That we are giving that first impression is our best impressions, and we want to make sure that we're starting off on the right foot. And so if we're dangling an offer, a super duper deeply discounted offer that expires in 3 days time, and they have to use all 10 classes in 3 days, then I'm not sure that we are meeting those kind of sort of requirements for us to be a successful long-term business. So I would always say, think about what is sensible and thoughtful, and make sure that you are giving your clients or allowing your clients to use the package or the offer in the way that will be reasonable and sensible, but that you are also not using. I would say we often threaten our clients and we say, well, unless you have to use it in 5 days or it's gone, or and sometimes that can work and sometimes it doesn't work. And often it comes down to the words, the language, and the tone you're using, you're sharing that. So there's a lot there, I think, to unpack, but ultimately you want to make sure your clients use their offer. They'll be more likely to come back if they use those classes than if you take them away because they weren't able to use them in the time allocated. Now, if you give them a year to use them and they still haven't used them, well, that's perhaps, we're in that's a different conversation. But if we're trying to make people come in and use, like I said, all 10 classes in 3 days, that's a little bit unreasonable and perhaps is not going to end well for you, because not only will that client perhaps be a bit frustrated, but we don't want people talking about your studio in a negative light. And you'd be surprised at how quick people are to complain about something to their friends, and how quickly that kind of word spreads. And we don't want that for you and your brand in your community. So be sensible, be thoughtful, be mindful of that when it comes to expirations. And, I think the most important thing, if we go back to what makes a successful offer, is you want to have the right messaging, want to have the right price, right, with the right experience, want to have the right follow-up and nurture. And if you do all of those things, your client won't just use one class and fall off of the schedule completely, right? You will be encouraging them in the right way to keep coming back. And that's all, build that relationship.
And I think something that I can add a little bit to what you're saying when you're thinking about those expirations is also think about what's the lifestyle of those ideal clients. Are they moms and they can come on like twice a week because their kids are all in their activities and they're scheduled about that, right? Or are they retirees with unlimited time, but at the same time they don't want to exercise more than once a week because this is like the top of where you think about who your clients are, what's the demographic, what their lifestyle is, and what kind of offer, what kind of consistency they can add into their lifestyle, because this is going to help them long term become part of your studio, feel like, okay, I can really fit that into my schedule. It can be part of my life, as opposed to, okay, I tried it once, it doesn't work, they don't have enough classes in the evenings and this is the only time I can come, and I have this 5 classes but they have only one evening class a week, and you know what, it's just not worth it even trying, right? So keep all of that in mind when setting that up. And one more question that kind of follows up on the expirations. If a person's purchasing more of a extended, right? Like not the, let's say 3, 5 package of any sorts, when would you recommend that that package starts? On the day of purchase or on the day when they book their first session? Because that's another thing that I know comes up a lot from my clients.
When does the expiration dates, like when does it?
Not the expiration, but like when the, yeah, so like let's say they purchase 12 classes, right?
Mhm.
Do they, the expiration, let's say, I don't know, 8 weeks, whatever,
Yep.
right? So that 8 week, does it start on the day of purchase? Or let's say if the purchase is on Black Friday but don't book until December 15th, does it start on December 15th in that case? So what would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, if you're kind, you're going to make it from the day of their first visit. Um, Again, it's going to depend on, the size of the package and all of that. But I think if you wanted to be kind to your clients, you would tell them to do it from the first day of the first visit, right? And I think, again, if your goal is to build relationships, then the goal is to get them to use their class. You want them to use the intro offer. You want them to use those classes. So let them, right? They pay for them. They, you want to help them to use them. And that's your role, is to help them to use those classes and to come in and when they can. And if they buy the Black Friday, but they are on vacation for the following 2 weeks, then they're going to come back from vacation, book a class and see that it's expired. I'm thinking that's not going to end well for you. So, let's be sensible here. And I'd say start from the first visit, if your software allows you to do that. But obviously, you want to encourage them to book as soon as possible. And that's another sort of nurture activity that has to happen. So you don't have these intro offers hanging out there that are unbooked and unused, in July of next year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just having the conversations with
Mhm.
those people who are like those new customers who purchase, so you understand what they're going through, right? And then you can follow up with them and build that relationship as part of that. Okay, like you said, you're on vacation, great. Let me reach out to you and help you book your session once you're back, so you don't forget, because people forget about that. They come
Yeah,
back, they think, oh, I just got back from a vacation and it's been like 3 weeks. Like how many
right.
times we've done that? It's like, oh, I
So
just
many
got
times.
back. Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Wait, yeah, before you
It's
know it, it's
amazing.
February.
Time flies, right? I know, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
I bought a package for a studio like 6 weeks ago. And, every week I'm like, this is the week I'm going to go. I've used two sessions. And every week, this is the time of year with the kids. There's always something happening, right? And I'm like, okay, this is next week. Okay, next week. And, I'm realizing how quickly time is flying by. And I know, it's going to be before a blink before you know it. So, I can understand, right, where you find yourself where these weeks just disappear on you. And I think when you're in a busy stage of life, it happens very, very easily.
Hmm. So I have one more question that's kind of slightly different focus, but I think it's going to be interesting to bring it in. So Josephine is saying that she's just opening a studio, so slightly different focus, right? And she would like to learn what promotion, especially in light of Black Friday, she should run before the actual opening. I think right now is like the perfect time kind of to run that, when people are in the right mindset, right, for buying. But as an opening studio,
Yeah.
like we're starting from ground zero and then Black Friday on top of that.
Hmm.
What advice would you give her?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, again, I know I'm kind of repeating myself. And first of all, you need to know your numbers, right? So you need to
Yeah.
have some profit projections set up. You need to know your financials. You need to know what is reasonable for you to charge for a sort of pre-opening special. Okay. And that can be your Black Friday offer. Okay. Because that is all you're selling right now. And so we don't need to discount only you will know what that discount is relative to what your pricing will actually be. So we don't need to discount it anymore. So let's not just discount because it's Black Friday. Let's discount because of, you're discounting probably because you're a new studio as well, right? So we're already discounting. That's fine. Now, what I would say, one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they come to open a studio with new offers is that they offer something that is too cheap, um, and that is a permanent price. And what that means is that you're telling someone that they are locked in at $10 a class for the rest of their life at your studio to as many people who wants to buy them before you open, I do not recommend at all. And to be clear, do not do this. This is a mistake. And I've seen it happen, and it is ugly later on. Because anytime you're telling someone this is a forever price, you are giving away your profit margin and money in your pocket, which you might not worry about today because you're probably willing to work a little bit harder and maybe not pay yourself for every minute that you're working right now. But 2 years from now, you will be not so happy with yourself and your decisions, right? So we want to make sure I want to see you avoid that situation. So pricing is never permanent. Okay. There is a time limit on it. And at the end of that time, you can decide to charge the same amount, or you can decide to change the pricing, but you have the option. You have the choice. And you always, as the business owner, want to retain control of your pricing. So never give that control away to anyone else. So for founding memberships, we want to avoid that, which means that we want to do enticing and exciting memberships for a pre-open that is exciting enough, but for someone who had to perhaps purchase before they've even seen your studio. And that means they have to be compelling. The messaging has to be right, but they are not, a forever price. They are for perhaps a 3 or 6 or 12 months, or it's a certain number of classes to get them started. Okay. And this is what I've seen when you see studios opening really, really profitably and really, really strongly. It's because they have done some great promotions ahead of time, right? And they've got classes and they've got people in the classes, but they long-term are thinking sustainably as well. So I would always recommend that you're thoughtful about that. And then, like I said before, right, pricing is one part of this, but the other part of this is getting that offer out there into front of the right people. And that's where you certainly want to make sure that you are using every tool you have available to you, every possible tool to get eyes on your business, to get foot traffic through the door, to get people aware of your new studio that's opening.
Awesome. And I also wanted to share with Josephine and anybody who is watching that we have Saren's article coming out on Pilates Bridge, where she talks specifically about what goes into opening a profitable Pilates studio. So as soon as it's published, I'm going to add that link over there. And then if you're subscribed for the Pilates Bridge newsletter, you'll get an email about it as well. So you can go like step by step into everything that you need to know and how to set up your studio for success. But I don't think we have any more. We're kind of running out of time here. I think that was like a really deep and excellent interview, Saren. I really appreciate all of your insights, sharing your knowledge, your wisdom.
Always happy to be here. Always happy to be here.
And the good thing that if you've joined us for this live show, you'll know that soon New Year's coming. So pretty much everything that we just talked about, you can apply straight to the New Year's sales when people are definitely ready to kickstart their new healthy, fit lifestyle, right?
That's right.
Not
That's
all
right.
of them,
You don't stop. This is where it's all go this quarter, right? All go.
Yeah, it's just keep on going. If you ran out of time, you don't have time to run a Black Friday, just package it all up in your head, plan it out, and be ready for January 1st. Because if anything, I think the January offers and January sales even like outperform anything Black Friday a lot of times for the Pilates studios, just because of the mindset that people are in. Like they're ready. They're ready after the holidays.
That's right. That's right.
Don't we all, right?
Yeah.
Aren't we all? All right. Well, thank you so much, Saren. And if any of you want to learn more, make sure to connect, listen to Saren's podcast. Make sure to follow her on Instagram. I'll add all the links. She shares really valuable resources. And I know I personally work with many of the members of her Thrive community. Some of them, they've been part of the community since pretty much day one or month one, and they're still loving it. And they said it's one of the best investments that they've made for their business because their studios are really thriving. just like the name of Sarah's community, right? They're doing really great. So if you're looking for something like that, now that you're planning for the next year, thinking about how you can really take your studio to the next level, I would really encourage you to talk to Sarah and see what her community has to offer for you. And where can they join you, Sarah?
Yeah, so if you go to
Where can they find out about you?
Sure. So you can search for me anywhere online. It's Saran, Seran, and Spring 3, Thrive, all of those words, anywhere in any search function, in any place that you want to search, will find me for sure. And, I want to add that, this time of year, once we kind of get through some of this, we nail down some of the promotions for the end of the year, which is sort of what we're working on right now inside of Thrive. Then we start to shift our focus to thinking sort of bigger picture, 2026, what do we want for our business? And that's when I start to really get excited and I see a lot of energy for the studio owners inside my program. So in a couple of weeks, we'll really start to shift our focus and get planning for next year. And that's so exciting. There's so much opportunity. So yeah, thank you so much for having me, Anastasia. I really appreciate it. So great to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.